Hi and welcome to my Valve Games tier list. Before I start this, I just want to say that this video isn't something set in stone, like maybe if I like Ricochet more than you, then yeah, that's something I really like. I'm not saying that Ricochet is much better. It's just my tier list, like this is my personal tier list. Okay, let's begin. We've got Half-Life first. Honestly, Half-Life is probably the second or third highest ranked game on my list. I think Half-Life is the reason why gaming is so popular right now. I think gaming would not even be close to what it is today. And it's not because Half-Life is just great. I think Half-Life revolutionized gaming. It's not just the arena shooters, the FPS games. I think gaming in general was just mesmerized by Half-Life, and it pushed everyone to make better games. And for that reason alone, I'll have to say it, Half-Life is S tier. I think you've probably expected me to talk more about Half-Life, but I don't think there's anything that I haven't talked about, because I don't think I have to explain myself on this one. It's literally Half-Life. It's the Valve game, so yeah, pretty much S tier. Okay, moving on, we've got TFC, and this is where I'll talk like a lot. TFC is fun. I haven't played TFC prior to this video. Like literally the only reason I had to download TFC was because of this video. And TFC is fun, don't get me wrong. I really liked playing TFC. Do I think it deserves more than B tier? No. It is fun, but there are some issues with this one, like character design. I don't know, maybe I'm also kinda used to Team Fortress 2 because I never thought I'd see Pyro with a rocket launcher. I mean, I know it's not a rocket launcher technically, but you get the point. If I actually change my mind, I'll just make a video about TFC. I'll try to play more TFC and come back to this video, but till now, I think I'll give it a B tier. Team Fortress Classic is one of the two games that I haven't played before recording this video. So yeah, I'm kinda sad that I cannot really rank them correctly, but I'll try to fix this later on. I will either make update videos on my tier list, or I'll just make separate videos for both of these games. But back to TFC, what really impressed me about this game is the fact that Valve transformed this to TF, like it literally transformed this game into TF2. Like, they're so different, I cannot believe it. They're really different. Now you might be wondering, why did you say transform? Well, because I'm trying to compare these with games like Counter-Strike and, I don't know, Portal maybe, Left 4 Dead. The difference from like Team Fortress Classic and Team Fortress 2 is so huge. I didn't expect that. The only class that I can say that is pretty similar to the Team Fortress 2 one is the Engineer. Something that really surprised me is the fact that they have grenades. Like, why do the classes have grenades? I don't get it. Look at Team Fortress 2 and then look at Team Fortress Classic. While I think grenades in Team Fortress 2 might have been a really great addition, I'm kinda happy that they removed them. Like, they don't really fit into Team Fortress 2. Next, we've got Half-Life Opposing Force. This DLC or expansion or whatever you want to call it is really great. I really liked it. Before finishing Opposing Force like 1 year ago, I think, I used to praise Blue Shift a lot. I used to say that Blue Shift is so damn good. But after playing this one, Blue Shift is still great, but Opposing Force is just superior in every way. I kinda wish they'd bring Shepard back, because I really want to see that. I really want to see Shepard in like Half-Life 2 episode 2.2. I really want to see that happening. This game also introduced us to new Half-Life weapons, which are really great. So yeah, I think this one is pretty damn good, but would I rank it S tier? Do I consider it as good as Half-Life? No, I really don't, to be fair. But I'll put it in A tier. Oh boy, the next one is going to get me hated. I swear I know it already, because I know what happened to my previous video. People didn't like that I didn't say that Ricochet is the most forgettable game. And I will still say it, it's not the most forgettable game. I don't care, it's just not. Dead? Yes. Way too simple? Also yes. But is it forgettable? No way. It still has features that literally I haven't seen in any other game. People will call it forgettable. And I don't really get why, to be fair. So yeah, I don't think Ricochet is the worst Valve game ever. Actually, I have a video on that. I recommend checking that out. And I bet you'd also like Ricochet if you would find like 5 friends. I'm sure that 5 of your friends probably have Ricochet in their libraries because there are so many people that probably have the Valve Complete Pack. I mean, I hope they have it. Seriously though, if this video gets lots of subs and views, I will actually host a Ricochet game. Actually, I don't have to host anything because there are so many servers that are dead there, so we can just join one. Oh boy, Counter-Strike 1.6. This game is amazing. Like, I think all the gold sword games are amazing to some extent. I think they're all amazing, but Counter-Strike is just the king. Is it better than Half-Life though? Not really. I think Half-Life is just better, to be fair, but Counter-Strike is still S tier. So yeah, that's where to go. Before I move on, I just want to say that I won't count Half-Life 2 Lost Coast, Deathmatch and Deathmatch Classic. The reason is that I don't really get why these are separate games. Like, Deathmatch Classic is a literal game mode in Half-Life, Deathmatch Source is also in Half-Life Source, and Half-Life 2 Lost Coast, I don't really have to explain anything. It's a literal showcase for the Source engine. Okay, I hope that we've cleared that now. We've got Half-Life Blue Shift, and I love Half-Life Blue Shift. Even though it's not as great as Half-Life Opposing Force, I think it's just great. I really liked it. But as much as I liked it, I have to say that it has some flaws, and for some people can seem to be quite boring. And to be fair, Blue Shift is not as great as the other A tier games and other S tier games, so yeah, I'll put it in B tier. Okay, the next game is the game that I haven't played before recording this video. I mean, besides Team Fortress Classic. And that is Day of Defeat. I mean, yes, I've played Day of Defeat Source, but I haven't played Day of Defeat Classic. And Day of Defeat Classic made me question Valve, because, wow, you actually removed so many features from Day of Defeat Classic when you made Day of Defeat Source. But to be fair, even though this might be a spoiler, I think Day of Defeat Source is better than Day of Defeat Classic. The movement is kinda better, the gameplay is much less forgiving, so yeah, I don't know. Day of Defeat players will hate me for this, I can already feel it, but Day of Defeat goes into C tier. Another game that I haven't played though is Half-Life Decay, and I'm sorry but I cannot really rank this game, because I haven't really got my hands on a PlayStation 2. And the Half-Life Decay solo mission is not yet available on Steam, so... But when it will eventually come out, I will just play it and come back to this video. And now, finally, I've been waiting for this one. Counter-Strike Condition Zero. This is my favorite Counter-Strike game. Relax, I won't put it in S tier though. I know the difference between a good game and a favorite game. And just as I said in my 5th video, I think, I don't remember it well, but I think, yeah, that was my 5th video on this platform. Counter-Strike Condition Zero is pretty much the same as Counter-Strike 1.6. The main differences are the graphics, the campaign, and probably that solo game mode. But in terms of mechanics, it's pretty much the same game, to be fair. I'd also mention why Counter-Strike Condition Zero was pretty much forgotten, but I already have a video on that, so I recommend checking that out. It's not my best video because it was like my 5th, but it's still alright, it pretty much explains everything you have to know. Oh yeah, this is the thing that killed Counter-Strike Condition Zero! It's Counter-Strike Source! And I don't know, I think the game is fine, but I hate that it kinda killed Counter-Strike Condition Zero. It's the same as Counter-Strike 1.6, but it was not as well received as Counter-Strike 1.6. Like, half of the Counter-Strike community just straight up hated the game. Like, they just didn't like it, they just stayed in Counter-Strike 1.6, they just played Counter-Strike 1.6. This is the same thing that should have happened to Counter-Strike 2 and Counter-Strike Global Offensive though. I really don't understand why Valve didn't try to do that. But, yeah, anyway, it doesn't really matter that much now. What really matters though is that Counter-Strike Source is probably a B tier game, sorry. My reasoning for this is that Counter-Strike Source, besides Counter-Strike Condition Zero, had probably the least influence out of pretty much every single Counter-Strike game out there. Oh yeah, Half-Life Source, straight up in F tier or D tier or whatever, I'll just put it in F tier, I'll just make a new tier, because I think Half-Life Source is bad. And I don't care if people say that, hey, but Half-Life Source was really great in like 2010. Yeah, but this is the 2024 Valve Games tier list. It's not a 2010 Valve Games tier list. And yeah, I'm putting it straight down in F tier. The bugs, the pretty much everything related to that game genuinely makes me mad. This is why I made a video on it. And I barely curse. This game made me curse the absolute living dog out of pretty much every single thing that is living on this earth. And everyone knows that I don't curse, like, at least I don't curse often. My family knows that I don't curse, my friends know that I don't curse, and goddamn, even people that watch my videos know that I don't curse. But yeah, Half-Life Source made me so mad. It's so buggy. I literally died like 5 times just because I bugged out of the map. So yeah, I'm not explaining this. Okay, we're finally getting to a good game again. Half-Life 2. Half-Life 2 is amazing, and I think it deserves S tier, but I don't think it's still not better than Half-Life, to be fair. I think Half-Life aged better than Half-Life 2, but I will still put it in S tier, to be fair. It's great, it's Half-Life 2. It doesn't really need any explanation. It's just Half-Life 2. It's great. It deserves S tier. We're moving on to our actual spoiler, Defeat Source, and Defeat Source is fine, but yeah, I don't think it deserves more than B tier. It's alright, it's fun to play it on a Sunday night when you just want to play something to relax and then go to work the next day, so as forgettable as it is, I'll put it in B tier, to be fair. It's alright, it's pretty alright. Half-Life 2 Episode 1 is... it's not that great. I think it's like A tier. I don't think it's less than A tier for sure, but I cannot put it in the same tier as Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2. I'm sorry. It's not that great. It didn't add any weapons, didn't add any enemies, so it was just Half-Life 2, but Episode 1. So I'll just put it in A tier. I'd actually put it in B tier, but because it's Half-Life, I'll put it in A tier. And now Garry's Mod is... do I consider this a Valve game? I kinda don't want to because it's developed by the guys that made Rust, so it would be fair to say that it's actually their game, but I will still put it here, I guess. Garry's Mod is fun, and Garry's Mod has so many features that I cannot even comprehend. I think you can do so many things in Garry's Mod that people don't even know that they exist actually. You can play in Sandbox, you can just go to a random server with one of these game modes. It's pretty entertaining. I really like Trouble in Terrorist Town. I think that's probably the best. Trouble in Terrorist Town is basically some sort of Among Us, but in Counter-Strike, I guess. But I really don't know if I should even count this as a Valve game, to be fair. It's not really fair to the developers of the game. But I guess I will still put it though, and I'll put it in A tier. What stops me from putting it in S tier is the fact that it can get boring at times, and then after it gets boring you just forget about it, to be fair, because we've got other games, so I don't know. A tier is still pretty fine. Moving on to the actual good Half-Life episode, Half-Life 2 Episode 2. The game is great. There's a reason why there's a 98% overwhelmingly positive rating on Steam, so you do you probably get the idea. This game goes into S tier, straight up there. The thing that I don't like though is the fact that they literally ended it in a cliffhanger, and it took them 13 years to finally address that, so it still deserves S tier though. The first Portal game is next, and the game is A tier. Why is it A tier? It's great. It has amazing puzzles, it has an amazing story, but even with these being considered, it does not deserve S tier. The biggest turnoff is that there was no co-op, so yeah, that kinda killed it, because as soon as you finished it, yeah, the workshop still has some maps, but they aren't that great. So I think I'm pretty satisfied with putting Portal in A tier. Oh man, Team Fortress 2. I really wanted this game to be in S tier, but I cannot, because the last 7 years of this game were just tragic. Bot crisis after bot crisis after bot crisis, and the game is just slowly dying. The truth is, the game is 17 years old. I'm actually surprised it lived for so long. And sadly, as much as it pains me to say it, Team Fortress 2 goes in A tier. Left 4 Dead is next. And I'd really like to put it in A tier, but Left 4 Dead 2 exists, so I'll just put it in B tier. It started it all, it has content, it's pretty great, but I think Left 4 Dead 2 is literally Left 4 Dead, but with more content and more things, and it's Left 4 Dead 2, so it's probably just better than Left 4 Dead. But I won't ignore the fact that Left 4 Dead 2 was pretty controversial when it came out, and I think the reason, I don't remember it perfectly, but I think the reason was that it was so quick. They made it so quickly. It was, I think it was 1 year later, exactly 1 year later, and people were like, yo, how is that even possible? But regardless, Left 4 Dead 2 goes into A tier. Okay, we're moving on to probably the most forgotten game and probably one of my future video ideas. I don't think I've met one person that knows Alien Swarm. I think the first time I played this game was in like 2020. I've played it randomly because I didn't have something to play. And now that I have replayed it, it is alright. It's fine, but it's so it's forgettable. I might say that it's more forgettable than Day of Defeat Source for some reason. But no, I won't, because it's not really. It's just forgotten because, I don't know, it's just not something insane. It's a game that you'd probably play for like 1 hour, then bam, you wouldn't even care anymore. For that reason alone, I cannot put it higher than C tier. And here it is. I think this is the best Valve game ever. Portal 2. Amazing storyline, amazing gameplay, co-op, amazing workshop maps made by the community, new assets and things that you can play with. It's just amazing. And this is why it deserves the first place. I think Portal 2 is arguably the best game. I don't think Portal is the best franchise. I think that belongs to Half-Life. But Portal is probably the best Valve game ever. Moving on, we've got CSGO, and CSGO has so many memories attached to it. For like, I think everyone that has played that game at least, I don't know, 5 hours. I'm very saddened that it got removed. I've played like, I don't know, 1k hours. My Steam says 2 hours, but to be fair, I've got a story for that. I used to be obsessed with getting achievements. Achievements were basically my way to say, yeah, I really like this game and I've played it a lot. Well, how did I even achieve this? Well, I'm not very proud of this, but there were, because I don't think they're available anymore. There were basically some maps on the workshop that would basically do what the achievements would say. Like, let's say you had to play like 5,000 gun games or something. So basically these maps would just replay them over and over again. Or if you needed like 10,000 kills in gun game, yeah, guess what? They just do that. Now returning to our actual topic, I will put CSGO in A tier. As much as I liked CSGO back when it was available, I cannot put it in A tier. I think it had some issues, and it just basically stops me from putting it in S tier. To be fair, I think my issue is that I cannot say that CSGO is better than Half-Life, Half-Life 2, Portal 2. CSGO is just not better than these. And I think the margin between these games and CSGO is so big that I just cannot put it in S tier. And now here it is, the reason why this video is so long. Here we are, the most hated Valve game ever. Why is Dota so hated? Well, people hate it for a couple of reasons. One being the fact that people think that they abandoned Team Fortress 2 because of Dota 2, which is not really true. The second reason is that people don't consider Dota a Valve game, even though I think the reason is kinda odd. Why? Because, you know, the first iteration of Dota 2 is actually Dota from Warcraft 3. It was a mod created by IceFrog, the lead designer of Dota 2. And I can assure you, Dota 2 would have been named just Dota, even with the capital letters, you know, D, like capital D, capital A. And there's a reason why it's not named like that. And that's because of Blizzard. Blizzard basically copyrighted the name, so you cannot really just use Dota. What does that have to do with the hatred? Well, because people consider games Valve games if they are made in Source, right? Or Gold Source or Source 2. And I think it's just absurd because it doesn't really deserve to be hated just because of that. Especially since Alien Swarm and Team Fortress Classic were also mods from games that weren't made in like the Source engine or Gold Source or whatever. Which I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair to hate a game just because it was firstly made in like the Warcraft 3 engine, when we also have games that were made in other engines. And the final reason, and pretty much the reason why I won't put it in S tier, is the fact that half of the community is just toxic. It's so unwelcoming, so toxic, so pretty much everything bad in this world. While I agree that the other half is actually quite fun and they are really great, I suggest like watching the ESL Birmingham 2024. It was really great seeing that. I haven't seen more passion from any other community when it comes to events. But the problem is that when it comes to just playing the game, the other half is just way louder and they are pretty much ruining the fun for pretty much everyone really. And even if you mute these guys, like it doesn't even matter, they can still just grief the game and you won't be able to do anything. And I really hate ranking games because of the communities. Like, I think the game shouldn't be just represented by one community, you know? Like, it just shouldn't, but when it comes to Dota, I've got to do this. Dota 2 players are more focused on trying to find new ways to rank up and grief, basically, that it doesn't even matter. For them, having fun is non-existent. And if someone plays worse, yeah, it doesn't matter, I have to play at your, like, 100%, even though they didn't play at 100% either. Now, I'm not saying that the community is way worse than the League of Legends one. The League of Legends one is way worse, like way worse. Even though I haven't played a lot of League myself, I have watched numerous colleagues, numerous classmates, numerous friends even, and yeah, it was pretty much the same. The reason why I think it's easier to make it into League of Legends than Dota is because, I don't know, the community is not as unwelcoming though. Even though they're more toxic, I think they're still way more welcoming. And yeah, I won't really put Dota in S tier because of that one last reason. So my final rating is B tier. I think B tier pretty much satisfies both communities as well, because the Valve community pretty much hates Dota, but the Dota community loves Dota, so I think B tier is pretty alright. I think that is the middle ground, and I think that matches Dota 2's situation. Moving on, we've got the lab, and I actually played the lab even though I don't have a VR headset myself. I visited one of my friends like 4 years ago, or I don't remember when, I think 2 years ago, and I played on a Valve Index. I've played both the lab and Half-Life Alyx. And the lab was pretty fun actually, I really liked it, but I wouldn't really rate it higher than B tier. I think I'll rate it in A tier. It was fun. I'm not saying that it is much worse than the A tier games. I think it kind of fits into A tier. The game is kind of versatile and fun, so I'm pretty satisfied with A tier. The next game is Artifact, and we finally got our first D tier game. The game sucks, I'm sorry, the game just sucks. This game initially costed $20. It costed $20. It's so mind-boggling. This game is also pay to win, and it's pay to win even now when it's free, and it's also split into 2 games for some reason. I have the perfect title for one of my future videos, which will involve Artifact, and I cannot wait to make it because it's a pretty damn great idea. I think it exposes Valve for pretty much failing, I guess. And they didn't even fail like the typical Valve fashion, they just failed like they were suddenly bought by EA Sports. Moving from a Dota-based game to another Dota-based game, but this one was great in the beginning. Dota Underlords was really fun. I don't know what happened, they just abandoned it randomly, they didn't say anything. They just straight up abandoned Dota Underlords. And it's so weird because this game was created in 2019 and they just abandoned it 1 year later. Even though it had a pretty consistent player base, they just moved from it like nothing happened. I think this is the opposite of Left 4 Dead. Left 4 Dead just received a sequel 1 year later, Dota Underlords just died 1 year later. I think that Dota Underlords, before the last update, would have probably been a B tier game, but after that, nah, I would literally put it in C tier. Like, if Dota Underlords would have been updated, I think the game would be a B tier, but because Dota Underlords didn't receive any updates in the past 4 years, the game doesn't deserve more than C tier. We're finally moving on to a great game, and that's Half-Life Alyx. I really like Half-Life Alyx. The Source 2 engine in VR is amazing. The game is amazing, the puzzles are pretty fun, and I've got to say this is another S tier game. The game is so beautiful, it's so aesthetic, it's so amazing. There's nothing but praise when it comes to Half-Life Alyx. I think Half-Life Alyx is probably the best VR game out there. There's literally no game that even comes close to this one. So S tier is the only right answer, at least for me. The second last game of this list is Aperture Desk Job. And this is interesting, but I think it would have been more enjoyable if I would have played it on a Steam Deck, but I don't have a Steam Deck. Yeah, fun fact, you can actually play Aperture Desk Job on the PC, but only if you have a controller. The sad part is that you cannot really play it completely, like at some point you won't be able to continue anymore. This game ain't much, so for that reason I would just put it in C tier. And the last game of this list is none other than Counter-Strike 2. And I don't know if I should even rate this game. The game is really new, it constantly gets updated by Valve, there are tons of bug fixes and stuff, so I think we should just wait. But if you really want an opinion from me on this one, I will just say that I will put it in B tier for now. I also forgot to mention that I won't really count Uplink and Counter-Strike Condition Zero Deleted Scenes as separate games, but I think that was obvious because I already put them there. So that means we are done. I really want to see your Valve Games tier lists in the comment section down below, and I hope I see you next time. What are you expecting? My classic line? Oh yeah. No, I'm not going to say it this time. You're waiting. I'm not going to. Yeah, anyway, bye.